Yes, some of my personal experiences do assist the younger people, especially the 844, to understand how life was during those days. CBC, I think they are too young to understand. As for 763, also we have some people who do not know anything about Form 5, Form 6. I can tell you for sure. There are some Form 4s in the 763 system who, if you start talking about how A level was, they will not understand. But mostly mine is a lesson to 844 to understand how the Form 5, Form 6 was, as I explain my life experience. You'll find that my Form 4 certificate reads Technical High School, Nairobi. But my Form 6 certificate reads Bungoma Secondary School. I want to share on how I ended up in that school, a school that I never knew existed. That is Bungoma High School. You know, I've just said that my Form 6 certificate reads Bungoma Secondary School, but that is Bungoma High School. I'll come to that. My elder brother Peter did his Form 4 and Form 6 at Upper Hill School. I do not think that he was in the bad books in the school. Of course, your brother, if somebody who is 2 years older than you, if he has a bad history wherever he's schooling, you are likely to know. And from what I can say, he was not in the bad books, and he was above average. What am I saying above average? I'm trying to say that, for example, the Form 4 results, he got a Division 2, which in Form 4 is a B, and in Form 6 he got 3 principals. So academically, he was okay. He was above average, and also when it comes to O level Form 4, he was something like a B plain. So you cannot say that he was a foolish fellow or nothing. And if he had any problem disciplinary wise, I would have known. Maybe our parents would not know, but siblings, you know. As a former police officer, I would say that whenever you don't go for the parents to ask, you go for the siblings. Siblings are capable of telling you if somebody is a criminal, if he or she is a criminal during his formative days. So I don't think he had any problem in discipline, and I don't think he had any problem in education. The year that I did my O level, ordinary level, that is Form 4, that is the year Peter did his Form 6. That was 1979. So I chose Upper Hill, knowing that uh, if at the basic minimum, the school had a sibling who was clever and who was disciplined. So I chose Upper Hill as my first choice. The second choice was highway school. Uh, it is along Mombasa. It is along the Uhuru Highway. I think that is why it was called highway. The third choice was not Narok High School. Third choice was Narok High School. That was my third choice. Uh, just looking at the three schools, one may notice the different namings. One, Upper Hill School, and then Highway High School, and Narok High School. Upper Hill, those days, these what do we call nowadays? We call them a group of schools. Somebody can boast to you that I went to such and such a group of schools, whatever. But those school days, high and any what do you call high class schools never call themselves secondary school. They never call themselves high school. They call them school, like Upper Hill School. We have also Nairobi School, and Lenana School. Those they never call themselves secondary. They never call themselves high school. They just call themselves schools. So what I'm trying to say is that I'd chosen a school that was on the upper end, especially when it comes to academic results. The rest of schools, they started off as secondary school. When they were upgraded to advanced level, that is from 5 and 6, they were renamed high school. When I joined Bungoma High, it was in the process of renaming from Bungoma Secondary to Bungoma High School. Because previously, I think we were the third or the fourth group of people who joined the high school, the A level, advanced level from 5 from 6. So before they started the A level, the advanced level, the school used to be known as Bungoma Secondary because it ended at Form 4. And then they started from 5 and from 6 stream, which they then changed the school from Bungoma Secondary School to Bungoma High School. But when I joined the school, and even the time when I sat for my Form 6, the school had Mutiani House, or the NEC, was still recognizing the exam center as Bungoma Secondary School and not Bungoma High School. But later on, it changed its name. When it changed its name to Bungoma High. Are you here an 844 saying that I went to this and that place for my high school? You claim to have gone to this and that school. Wakati tulikuwa high school, and then I ask you, okay, which high school did you go to? Anasema, I went to this or that high school. And you got a certificate? Yes, I got a certificate. What is the name of the certificate? The certificate reads Kenya Certificate of Secondary. Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examination. So you went to a secondary school. What happened is that when Form 5 and 6 was removed and everybody started 844, there were some schools which are called secondary school because they ended at Form 4, and some schools which ended at Form 6, which are called high school. So when they started this 844, all schools changed their names and started calling themselves high school. That is why you find people saying Nikiwa High School. But the truth of the matter is, if you are an 844, you went to secondary school, and that is why your certificate is called Kenya Certificate of Secondary Examination. Those days, for you to join Form 5, Form 6, this is what used to happen, and that is why I would request you to pass to share this for people to know. We used to have the high school level. We used to have two types of classes. When you want to join Form 5, when you want to join high school, that is, you used to select schools just the way you select while joining Form 1. But then, Form 1, you would choose any school. But in Form 5, you first of all determined what combination you wanted. What combination you wanted. Nowadays in university, they call it cluster. Cluster. If you're joining university, you go for a cluster of this and this and that. But in Form 5 and Form 6, it used to be combination. So you looked at the combination that you think you'll pass, and then you choose those schools. Now, the combination I wanted was MG Econ. MG Econ. That is mathematics, geography, and economics. So they whenever they went to Kenya Science is where they used to select. And the selection was manual, where somebody had that application form, like the A4 paper. Your name is written there, and the combination are there. So each school would look at the first choice. The first choice, maybe you got a division 1. Division 1 is an A, equivalent to an A nowadays. So you get that, and you easily go to the high school, you go to the Form 5 school that you wanted. And then they would go to Division 2, which was like a B. Then they would go to strong Division 3, which was like a C plus. Now, for you to get a C plus, you are not sure if you'll join Form 5. You will only join Form 5 if what you applied for, to the schools that you applied, there are no many people who joined that school who had the same whatever you got. For example, and it is there even in Form 4, in the 844. You apply for a course in the university, and then you find a lot of people have applied for that. So you find that you have even your B minus, but so many people went to that university for that course, and they got a B plane or a B plus. So you'll find that you have a B minus, but you don't go to university, and somebody else with a C plus, strong Division 3, has applied for a university for the course that very few people have applied. So it was something like that. We used to call it combination, and you people, you call it cluster. It used to be a manual paper. So the Form 5 selection was used to happen at Kenya Science. And my first selection was Upper Hill School. When I went to Upper Hill School to check, even Form 1 and Form 5, you would go to the school notice board and you find the names of people who have been selected in that school, both in Form 1 and Form 5. So I went to Upper Hill, and you see they write the name of the individual, and they write his or her index number, and say that he or she has been taken there. So I went to Upper Hill to check if I've been taken. And you see the head teacher, nowadays they call them principal. The head teacher of Upper Hill was Mr. Igobwa. I think he was Herman Igobwa, but I don't know about the first name, but I know he was called Igobwa. Igobwa was our teacher in Nairobi Technical, who taught us geography, and he had been taken. He had been taken to Upper Hill to be the head teacher without even being a deputy head teacher. So I just, for him, when he's selecting Form 5, of course he knew us. He knew us, and I'm sure any teacher would like to have his former students there. That is how I went to check. So when I looked at the list of those selected, my name was missing, but there was David Macharia. There was David Macharia. David Macharia, we were with him in Nairobi Technical High School, Nairobi, from Form 1 to Form 4. When somebody is selecting Form 5 and 6, or even in primary, you may be classmates and people are selecting Form 1. You don't know about somebody, your classmate, which school he has applied or anything, because we were just too many. We were 120 with those who sat for Form 4. Now you cannot know what all the other 119 had applied or something. But when I saw the name David Macharia, I also checked and saw his index number. You see, the names may be similar, but when you see the index number, you just know that this is the David Macharia we were with in Technical High School, Nairobi. He got exactly what I had gotten, and he had applied for the same subject that I had applied: maths, geography, and economics. But funny thing, he had been taken, and I was not taken. Igobwa was a former teacher in Nairobi Technical, so he could not drop me. And my brother had been in that school. It's only the Christian name that is different, but our IDs read the same. So I didn't know why he did not pick me. So I was confused. If David Masharia from Nairobi Technical would not have been taken, he had a C plus, which today we call, which in those days we used to call strong division 3. Strong division 3, as I said, I will repeat again, is that you could only join Form 5 if the combination, or what you call cluster, fit. If the cluster fits, then you can be taken. So I was wondering if it was a matter of cluster or combination. I had the same combination with David Masharia, and he had been called, and I don't know why I was not called. I left Upper Hill really crestfallen. They call it crestfallen. Uh, During our Form 4, nobody knew that what the other had applied. And so it was a surprise to find that, as I've said, it was a surprise to find that Masharia had also applied the untaken. So I left that, and the following day, I decided to go to highway. And check if my name was there. So as I went to our highway, I passed upon Tyson. There is an estate called Tyson next to the main road, the main highway. So as I was going, I reached Tyson. There was Justice Chesoni, Justice Chesoni, who became Chief Justice, and at one time he was the chairman of the Electoral Commission. Both Chesoni and his sister, I'm an uncle to them. I am their maternal uncle, mjomba. Mimi ni mjomba wao. The Chesoni sister is called Beatrice Savala, Mrs. Beatrice Savala. So I left home in Madaraka instead of going to school. You see, finding that I was not taken at Upper Hill, my morale just got lost. I lost Sinini. So when I went there, greeted Mrs. Beatrice Savala. We had a great time talking, had a heavy lunch, whatever. And after that, instead of now me going straight to Highway Secondary, Highway is called Secondary, yeah, although it had high school, that is from 5, from 6. So instead of going to Highway, I just turned and went home. That evening, I told Dad that I'd checked at Highway, and my name was not there. I didn't check, but I cheated him that I checked and my name was not there. And as I said, what killed my spirit was finding that somebody from my school getting the same marks as I did had been taken to Upper Hill. So the morale died and I didn't visit there. So I went and told my father that. So the next idea was to board a bus and go to Narok and check Narok High School. That thing, it seems, maybe my father even saw my body language and whatever. So it was just that education, that's the end of it. Because he never supplied, I never asked for fare to go to Narok. He never supplied. I mean, that thing just died. You see, checking at Upper Hill, getting that my name is not there. Checking at Highway. I did check, but according to my father, I had checked. Finding that my name was not there, it killed the spirit of looking for that place. In primary school, I was good in maths. Actually, Mr. A.B. Kamau, the maths teacher, used to tell students that when they have maths problem, they should not ask him. They should ask me. And if I fail to solve it, then we too can go to see Mr. Kamau. So I got a B plus in maths in primary. I was also good in secondary in maths. That's why I did double maths. I did mathematics alternative S, and I also did additional maths. So I did double maths in my Form 4. I also liked discipline forces. My first love was the police, but I didn't mind if I missed the police to end up in the army. So it was the police, army, in that order. Things like prison, AP, I don't think my mind was there, but that is how it was. So one day I visited my father at the railway CID office. This railway CID office, it's called FCIO, Formation Crime and Investigation Office, just next to those matatus that go to Kawangware, Kibera, and whatever. There is a CID office there. I went to visit my father there. He was the first person to open that office. Just like any offices you go, you find the names of the headmasters who are there since time immemorial, isn't it? And then even when you go to chief's offices, or even you go to OCPD's offices and even OCS offices, you'll find names of former police officers there. So those, if you go to that place, you'll find the first name is my father's name. So he's the one who opened that office. So I went to visit him. When I went to visit my father, just a normal visit that I found myself in town, he told me that since I was good in maths, and it was cheaper to undertake accounts course through NYS. You know, those days you could take, it used to be called ACNC. Nowadays it's called CATC. So he told me that I was to join the National Youth Service, where I was to start. Let me use the current names. I was to start off with CATC and then stay there for 2 years. By the time I complete 2 years with the NYS, I'd come out as a CPA finalist, He asked me how was it about. To me, I forgot about that I was a mathematician. I forgot everything, but I preferred going to the NYS because I'll be trained in paramilitary. That is why, to him, he was trying to tell me, by the way, NYS is tougher than Kiganjo. NYS is tougher physically than Kiganjo. So he was trying to tell me to persevere and whatever. But to me, it was not a matter of persevering. It was a matter of undergoing a course that I wanted. So he was using the National Youth Service to get CPA, accounts course. But to me, I was using the accounts course to get a fundraising. And that is how it was. As we were preparing, he talked. There's a time he had even been seconded to the NYS. When Jomo Kenyatta died, my father, at that particular time, he was not in the police force, but directly he was seconded to the NYS. So he talked to some people there, and it was agreed. So there's a time I was going to his office to try and get, Kiganjo, RTS in the military, anything. These colleges are just like boarding school, where the student goes there with soap, towel, name them, a kilo of sugar, something like that. So I was to go there and get money to buy those things so that I can go to NYS. So one day I went to visit dad. When I visited my dad in the office, because that was the time when I was to get shopping for a boarding school. I can just call it a boarding. Even Kiganjo and military, they're just like a boarding school. So I went to visit him so that we can buy those things that are required there. My dad told me, no, you are not going to join the NYS, but you are going to Bungoma for your Form 5. I knew Bungoma, and when I was growing up, I used to hear the name Bungoma, but it never occurred to me that the natives of Luya called Bungoma Bungoma, but other people called Bungoma. Said, you are going to Bungoma to join Form 5. I said, okay. So I went to Bungoma a bit late. And many students used to mock me. How did you end up in this school? A school that you never knew that existed? After all, the headmaster, nowadays they call principal, Mr. Honorable Nathan Sanya Anaswa, is from your same area. So they used to think that had just been slipped in. We used to also to have a situation where kids could be called to good schools, and just like my sister, my follower, there is a girl who was called to Kaimosi Girls, but those days you'd be called to a very good school and you cannot afford. So those second selection used to come for students who could not afford, and others would come in. So there was that thing, but then people were wondering why I had to come that way. I also didn't know why I ended up there. As I said, I never knew the school existed. Uh, and I didn't know that. It was until we had completed Form 5 and Form 6. We had completed Form 5 and Form 6. You see, there is I don't know whether students still have that today, but those days we used to have something that is called academic break. Academic break is 2 weeks to exam. You do your own studies and teachers are in staff room. So that where you find it's a bit hard to understand, then you go to the teacher to understand. But no new teaching, no teaching or whatever. You just would go to the staff room and tell the teacher, I don't understand here. What you do your own reading. So it was during, and then those are the days when what motivational speakers would come, and so on and so on. So the head teacher that day, within the last 2 weeks, he talked to us. He talked to us that you can make in life what you want so long as you put your mind on it and work for it. And then he told us how he ended up in that school. And that is when I, together with my classmates, were now knowing for the first time. Imagine 2 weeks before the exam is when we knew how and why I ended up in that school. Mr. Igobwa was about to take my card and admit me to Upper Hill School, but Mr. Nathan Anaswa, Honorable Nathan Anaswa, told him, no, I have a special interest in this student, let him come to my school. That was at Kenya Science. And he did that because of an event that happened in 1961, the year that I was born. Now I'll tell you what had happened in 1961. In 1961, Anaswa, then a primary school kid, was playing soccer with other primary school kids at a place called Matete. Matete is now a sub-county. The ball hit a bypassing adult who happened to be my father. He picked up the ball and congratulated the boys for a good game. He wanted to know who hit the ball last. Anaswa, thinking that he had been praised, raised his hand. He was slapped severely by my father. Some adults saw that. So the boys reported the matters to their father, who accompanied them to the chief's office. The chief office at the same place. The chief was called Philip Soita of North Cabras location at Matete now. South Cabras is what now is called Malava constituency, and North Cabras is what is now called Matete sub-county. So the chief tried to inquire, who is this person who beat up the children? The adults who saw that told him that it is Lando. Lando is the one who beat up the boy. Then the chief said, Lando, that one is untouchable. He is a senior police officer. Now, Lando at that time was an inspector of police. It was before independence, so being an inspector was a very senior position. Even during my time, inspector was a very senior position. So Anaswa said the story ends there. Nothing can be done to that. The chief Philip Soita. Anaswa was so annoyed. He was livid. That day, in the chief's office, he swore to study hard and become a teacher and teach the children of this Lando, who people are saying is untouchable. Imagine that time he just said, I will read, and I'll become a teacher and teach the kids of this bully. He studied hard and graduated. In the 60s, for one to be graduated for one to be graduated in the university in the 60s, and even in the 80s during that time, but that was the 60s. His love for football is still there even today, 2025. He ended up as a teacher, yes, after graduating, and he became an ordinary teacher. Is it that what they call a class teacher? Yeah, he became a class teacher at Lugari Secondary School. While teaching, he also coached the football team. He coached and managed the football team of Lugari. They contested the matches. They contested matches such as they still have it, I think. But that time they contested and won East and Central Africa secondary school soccer. In people get confused. Is it Zambia or Rhodesia? But somewhere there. So Rhodesia is nowadays called Zimbabwe. So he coached and took the team to that place. And even upon reaching that country, Zambia or Rhodesia, I'm sorry, Zambia or Zimbabwe, I don't know. When he reached there, his team won the cup. So his school was the champion for East and Central Africa. He was then promoted from a class teacher to head Bungoma High. Just like his friend Igobwa, Herman Igobwa was from a teacher in Nairobi Technical to Upper Hill. Honorable Nathan Sanya Naswa also was promoted from being a teacher, a class subject teacher or a class teacher, to be the head teacher of Bungoma High. So during the Form 5 selection, he saw he saw Mr. Igobwa picking my form which I'd said. So Igobwa was about to admit me to Upper Hill in Form 5, but he requested him to hand over the form since he knew me. He knew the family, he knew our family. That's why I was called to that school and I had to be late because I didn't know that I'd been taken there. So, as I've just told you how I ended up in Bungoma High, I also want you to understand that some bad things motivate good actions. If my father would not have beaten him, or if my father would have beaten him and had been taken to the chief center and the chief took action against my father, maybe he would just have ended up like anybody else. But that day, throughout his Form 1 to Form 6, even the university, he was motivated to become a teacher and teach. And I can tell you, in this world, anything you put your mind there, God will accept and you will succeed in what you always wanted to be. And his success was to be a teacher. Not only to be a teacher, but to teach Lando's child or children. He did not just end up that way. He later, even at Musingu High School, he later taught at Musingu High School, where my younger brother, who is now a cop, was a student in the very same school. So his dream of, from a bad thing came a good thing. His dream of becoming a teacher and then becoming a teacher came to pass. Not only becoming a teacher, his love for football made him take Lugari all the way to Eastern Central secondary school competition. And his dream of teaching the child or children of his bully also came to pass, where I was his student and my brother was also his student. But even if he was so motivated, he was so good to me. I don't know about my brother. He was so good to me. He treated me well during that time. Thank you. Have a nice time and God bless you.